Hi and Assalamualaikum. Today we are going to talk about HOFSTED'S cultural dimension. So it is a framework that helps explain how cultural values influence behavior across countries. So it is used to understand how cultural differences can affect communication and cooperation between people from different countries. So there are 5 purposes of using HOFSTED'S cultural dimension. The first one is to understand cultural differences. The second one is to improve cross-cultural communication. The third one is to enhance global business strategy. The fourth one is to facilitate diversity and inclusion. And the last one is to guide research in social science. So now, let's move on to the power distance.
First HOFSTED cultural dimension that I want to mention is power distance. What is power distance? It refers to the extent to which a culture accept or respect the authority and status. So there are 2 types of power distance, which is high degree of power distance and low degree of power distance. High degree of power distance exists if the organization has centralized decision making, hierarchical structures, and high regard for position within an organization. An organization with a high degree of power distance are suitable for people want to avoid conflict and unproductive competition. However, this culture can be frustrating, especially for youngest and ambitious workers who strive to get promoted quickly within an organization. A low degree of power distance exists if the organization has decentralized decision making, job empowerment, delegation, and flatter organizational structure. So, in some cultures, the senior manager are expected to work longer than their workers, as the workers will not work longer hours than their bosses. So, this type of people usually demanding justification for inequalities of power in a society. The next HOFSTED cultural dimensions that I want to share with you is individualism versus collectivism. Individualism versus collectivism is about whether a society values individuals over the groups or the collective groups in a specific community. Individualism refers to cultures that emphasizes on the needs of individuals over the needs of a group as a whole. So individuals usually focuses on attaining their personal goals and achievements. A society which have high degree of individualism indicates that greater importance is placed on attaining personal goals. By contrast, collectivism emphasizes on the importance of groups or social corporations over the needs of any individual. Collectivism indicates that greater importance is placed on goals and well-being of a group.
So next, moving on to the masculinity versus femininity. So in this culture dimension, it reflects whether a society is focused more on the achievement and success, which is masculinity, or the cooperation and care, which is femininity. In masculine culture, like Japan and United States, they focus more on the achievement and success of the business. So, for example, in Japan, we have a Toyota company where the company focus more on the productivity and innovation. Similarly, tech company in USA, which is Apple, they often promote their latest product by appealing to the ambition and success. On the other hand, the femininity culture, like Sweden or Netherlands, they value teamwork and work-life balance. For example, a famous Swedish company, which is IKEA, they focus on the affordable price of their furniture and the quality of their furniture to improve their home living. Additionally, Dutch business often emphasize on the well-being of the employees. So they are offering flexible working hours and benefits to the employees in order to maintain the harmony in the company. This distinction is critical for businesses. For instance, in a car company, if the culture of the business is masculinity, they focus more on the speed and performance of the car, while in the femininity culture, they focus more on the safety and the full efficiency of the car. So, by adjusting their strategies to match these values, will allow the business to resonate with their local consumer and employee to work more effectively.
So next is uncertainty avoidance. So
uncertainty avoidance is a cultural dimension that reflects whether society prefer to working in a structured and rule environment, or they can adapt to any changes during their working hours. In a culture with high uncertainty avoidance, like Germany and Japan, individuals face anxious to any ambiguity. So they prefer to work in a place that have strict rules and detailed planning. For a business, it means that the employees want to have a long-term contract and you need to do a research before entering a new market. On the other hand, countries like Singapore and the United States are more open to any risks and challenges. So they can embrace innovation and have more flexible strategies. Business in this region can take a quicker action and launch their new product without any rigid rule or structure. For example, when a company wants to launch their new product in a high uncertainty avoidance country, they need to have a safety certification in order to gain trust. While in the low uncertainty avoidance, maybe they can do innovation and adaptability. By doing so, they will allow the business to maximize their profit and align with the local consumer and the market expectation.
So, moving on to orientation. It is a cultural dimension that connects the past with attitudes towards the future, and all society maintains some links with their past to reference to dealing with challenges for the present as well as the future. But of course, different societies prioritize different approaches in handling these situations. So there are two different ways, which are long-term and short-term. For the short-term, it is cultures and traditions are kept. These societies have a low index for long-term versus short-term orientation, indicating that they prefer to maintain a time-honored tradition and cultural norms. They focus on prioritizing the present instead of the future. So whereas for long-term, it is societies that have more of a focus on the future. So these societies take a more pragmatic approach to prepare for the future. Loyalty is valued and traditions are kept and honored. People are willing to handle pain, long-term and short-term pain for long-term success. And this relies on the society's endurance and persistence to achieve long-term and sustainable growth and prosperity. So examples of countries that have low index are Angola and Australia, whereas for mid index is India and Brazil, and lastly for countries that have high index are China and Japan. So continuing with indulgence, an indulgent culture refers to a society or organization that fosters the natural human drive to be free, to have fun, and to generally enjoy life. By contrast, the restraining culture means there is a tendency for society to suppress people's personal needs and desires by a system of strict social norms and self-regulation. So, countries with a high indulgence versus restraint index, which means they have an indulgent culture, facilitate the free fulfillment of an individual's desire or wants, whereas societies with a low indulgence versus restraint index, which means they have restraining culture, tend to put their focus on suppressing gratification, which also means the pleasurable emotion reaction of happiness in response to the fulfillment of a desire or goal.
Now, let's dive into the real case study. Did you know that when McDonald's first came to Malaysia in 1980, they were trying to fit in the culture by introducing a menu called Nasi Rendang and sugarcane juice? But what does this tell us about cultural differences? Let's break it down using HOFSTEDE'S cultural dimension. In Malaysia, there's a relatively higher power distance compared to the USA due to the high level of respect in the workplace. Employees follow a hierarchy and provide attentive service. On the other hand, in the USA, it's all about equality and speed, getting your order fast with minimum fuss. Americans prefer individual experiences, grabbing breakfast before 11 a.m. on the go. Meanwhile, Malaysians enjoy eating together late in the evening, making it a social event. Malaysia is comfortable with uncertainty, embracing new menu items and trends. The USA, while innovative, prefers sticking to white words with a slightly higher uncertainty avoidance. In Malaysia, Malaysia, McDonald's focuses on family-oriented experiences, fun and social interaction, reflecting a feminine culture. The US, however, values competition and success, making their service all about efficiency and performance.
Malaysia takes a long-term approach building customer loyalty with experiences and relationships. The USA, however, is all about short-term gains using aggressive marketing and instant deals.
In Malaysia, eating at McDonald's has a deeper meaning, providing social and emotional benefits. The interior design even plays a role in satisfaction. Meanwhile, in the USA, it's all about quick meals and instant gratification.
Like other business management tools, HOFSTED'S cultural dimension also have its own disadvantage and advantage. The advantages are it can improve cross-cultural communication and cooperation, enhance employee motivation, productivity and shareholder value, supports international marketing by considering local values, and also helps adapt products and services to local preferences for a competitive edge. Meanwhile, the disadvantages are it can be based on unrepresentative IBM data, it might be outdated due to globalization and cultural shift. It also might be impractical to address every culture's need. And the last one, it doesn't take account for modern technology and work trends. This is all from us.